One of my favorite things about the way God works is how he takes every painful thing in our lives and turns it into something beautiful if we let him. For my guest today, Jeremy SAUVE, that happened through his own painful experiences of bullying, and it led to a unique outreach that helps others. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me here.
Now, you launched something called Common Table. What is it?
Common Table is a social group that partners young people from our youth group with kids on the spectrum. And so we enjoy a meal together, we do some games, and generally allow the kids an opportunity to build relationships in community.
So why did you want to start this? What led to this passion about helping kids with autism?
It started through a paper that I wrote about cyberbullying. And one of the conclusions that one of the speakers that I had watched for research said that in order to fight cyberbullying, we need to create empathy in the kids that end up becoming bystanders. And this began a conversation with my friend Carrie Kirkwood, who is a therapist, on can we create a program that partners our youth with youth on the spectrum, kids that tend to be marginalized and bullied, to be able to create empathy in our young people.
And you actually watched in that video somebody being bullied. They did a social experiment, and all these people just walked by and didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, especially online, this is a real issue. People tend to like posts or make comments, and so the bystander effect is what they call it, tends to include hundreds and sometimes thousands of people, and there is no escape from this. And so our desire is to create empathy in young people, so if they see this going on either in their schools or online, they'll step up and say, this is not acceptable, this is not right. And sometimes it only takes one person to stand up and say, no, this is not right, for others to join in and to stop the bullying.
I love the fact that you did this. I have a nephew myself with Asperger's syndrome, which is on the autism spectrum. He's been incredibly bullied. Schools have really not been a great help. It seems sometimes they don't know what to do and kind of trying to help that situation stop, and a lot of it's away from the eyes of the teacher.
Yeah.
And I've seen the dramatic effect it has on him. So I love the thought that there'd be a place for him to go where he finds community. One of the things you do is you have a licensed therapist as part of this. Tell me why that's important.
Yeah, it's really important for us because I don't have the skills or the tools in my toolbox to be able to handle some of the situations that we face, some of the social challenges, or if something becomes too much for one of the kids that are on the spectrum that are at our program. And so what Carrie does is she's there on site and provides counsel and support both to our volunteers as well as to help any situations that arise that need her skill set to be able to help talk the kids out of social situations or help them to understand. This is one of the very few places where we partner the kids one-on-one. So they're really in a social atmosphere that resembles high school, and yet it's a safe place for them to learn, both the kids on the spectrum as well as our own young people. How do we interact and how do we find common ground and belonging with each other? So
you think about one of the things with kids with autism is that they don't always know how to deal in social situations or read social situations, right. But you're finding they still need social situations.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for them is to find, most of them have said that their greatest longing is for community and for belonging and to have friends. That's the resounding comment I get from parents, that this is the first place that their children have found friends, which I think is such a shame. We all long for community, and this is an opportunity for us to provide them that community in a safe place where they're able to make mistakes and they're accepted in spite of those mistakes.
One of the things I really love, you told me about Ben. He's someone who's been coming to your program. You said in 5 years you've heard him speak, or 3 years, 5 words, something like that,
words.
right?
Yeah.
He's very nonverbal, so you don't know what's going on inside of him. But you asked him to write a blog for you about this program, and what did he say?
Yeah, we just started a website, commontable.ca, and what I wanted to do was allow people in our program to have a voice. And so I asked Ben's father if Ben could write an article, and like you said, I'd never heard him really say much. And then in this article that he wrote, in one line in particular, he said through Common Table, he has found a place of belonging. And to me, that hits the nail on the head in terms of what we are attempting to do to be the hands and feet of Jesus and the church, and to be able to provide this opportunity for families to come and these kids to interact and to have relationship and community.
I love this, and I love the fact how your church supports this, St. Paul's Presbyterian Church in Ottawa.
Yes.
You said a lot of these families, parents have never set foot in a church in their entire life, and now their child, which has faced so much rejection and misunderstanding, is actually finding community there. What kind of message is this giving to the community?
I think one of the things that tends to happen is that we create ministries with an agenda. And I think one of the cool things about this is that we are just there to love their children. And so when we first started the program, you could see that hesitation when they walked in the front door. But now we've been running for 3 years and been consistently loving their children and showing them the love of Christ through our actions. And they become more and more comfortable to the point where some parents are asking, like, how can I get involved? Is there ways that I can be part of this? Or how can we start more groups? Or one parent said that the only thing that they would want to change about the program is if it could happen more often. And so it's a really neat opportunity for us to show them that the church does love and care for them. And through the love of God to be able to show their children that as well.
And you've seen those kids come in probably full of anxiety. I mean, that's part of autism is social situations, unexpected produces great anxiety.
Yeah.
You see them come in that way. What happens? What's the arc over time? How have you seen these kids change?
Yeah, we've joked that when we first started the program, it was like a grade 7, 8 dance where one group was on one side and the other group was on the other side, and the two groups did not mix.
That's your youth leaders and the kids.
The youth volunteers and the kids on the spectrum. Because they didn't know how to relate to each other. And over the last 3 years, it's been fantastic. Carrie has had other therapists come in and observe what we're doing. And some therapists have said that they have a hard time picking out which kids are on the spectrum and which kids are the youth volunteers. They have so integrated with each other. I think one of the important things about the whole program is that at the beginning we have a common meal together. That's where this idea of common table comes from. I'm reminded of Jesus sitting around the table at Matthew's house, and just it's a great equalizer. And the more that we've shared meals together, the more that people have become comfortable with each other. And now you could hardly tell who's who, which is great.
I love that all of this came out of your passion, not even about autism in particular, but about bullying in particular. And that, I mentioned off the top, that came from your own experience of bullying. What happened to you that kind of made you have such empathy toward the situation? I
experienced some cases of bullying in high school, but the one that sticks out for me is my first year of college at Algonquin. I was assaulted by a fellow student, and it was a really difficult experience for me. It really left a mark on my life, and it allowed me to have empathy for those who are experiencing bullying. The difference now is that I was able to go home and I escaped it. Now with online cyberbullying, there is no escape for kids. And so this idea of creating empathy and allowing or providing young people with the tools to stand up against this is something that really brings hope to me, and I want to bring hope to others who perhaps are marginalized.
You're really passionate about not just having the church say, oh, bullying isn't a good thing, but actually doing something about it. Like saying, you really feel the church needs to get more involved in protecting those who are being, picked on and are vulnerable in our culture. Why is that such a passion?
I think, especially with the advent of the internet and cell phones and just how much information and access young people have, our church doesn't really know what to do. I've had parents come up to me and say, listen, my daughter's 11 years old, she's asking for a cell phone, or she wants to go on Facebook. What do I do? And the church is not providing the tools and helping parents navigate the new cultural reality that we find ourselves in. And so for me as a youth pastor, and I want to be able to empower parents to not be afraid of this world. A lot of good can happen from this world, but to be able to be aware and prepared and to be able to help strengthen and just help parents deal with these things, especially with cases like cyberbullying.
Yeah, I was bullied myself in school just like you, and I'm not sure the school knew what to do. I'm not sure my parents even knew what to do, and I can't imagine now people can't escape it. We've seen cases of kids killing themselves because of that bullying or what people do online. As we move forward as the church, and maybe people are being inspired right now watching this saying, you know what, I'd like to start something like Common Table. I know you're looking at replicating it. What can churches do if they want to do something like this?
One of the things that Carrie and I are working on is figuring out how can we duplicate this program. Yes, we'd love to just encourage people just to start their own, but we'd love to be able to share. We've been doing this for 3 years, and certainly there's a lot of trial and error in what we've been doing. And so we'd love to share our resources. And so we're trying to figure that out right now. If people are interested if churches are interested in starting a program like this, encourage them to get in touch with me, and I can connect them with Carrie. And as we kind of solidify the process a little bit more, we can help guide churches along to creating their own programs to kids who need it.
So they can get in touch with you, just contact St. Paul's Presbyterian Church in Ottawa maybe. And
Yeah, or go to commontable.ca, and under Contact Us, there's a whole form for them to fill out, and they can send me some information. And once we figure out how we replicate this thing, we can contact people and
love it.
empower them.
So for moms and dads who are watching this just briefly, and they have an autistic kid, and sometimes you don't know what to do, because you can't fix the world for them sometimes.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to those parents that are struggling, that may not have a program like yours?
Don't give up. Keep loving your kid. With 2 young kids of my own, parenting can be a real challenge, but you would give anything for your children. And so just keep loving your children. And my prayer is that the church will see that and respond and help you. Continue to love your children.
That's a good word. That's an encouraging word. Thank you so much for all you're doing.
Thank you
I really do hope it gets replicated. I hope some people watching are inspired today.
Yeah. Thank you very much.